Alright, so I learned a few things taking this tea case apart and putting it back together for basically no reason other than to spend time doing it and hopefully making a custom part that works. But one of the big problems is why I was designing the basically the custom, well, one of these prototypes, I guess, is I ended up with a lot of dust and hair and stuff on the inside of the case. And this is where the oil pump sits, and it says specifically on the oil pump, do not service. I didn't want to spend $800-900 on a new half of a case to get a new oil pump when everything on the inside looks fine. And so I was putting it back together. I took it all apart, cleaned it, put it back together, said this, I don't understand what the issue is. And then I put my tea case back together last night, and then the shaft wouldn't turn. And I realized why. The inside of the oil pump actually seals to this main shaft. And so I found the repair manual, and it says it can cause that the oil pump housing is aligned to the bearing, and if you remove it and don't fix it, it can cause failures. And so sure enough, I got this thing bolted together with silicone, and the shaft didn't turn, but now it does. It turns nicely, and regardless of what direction I push on it, it turns about the same, which means I'm not getting any significant wear or rubbing if there's some side load on it. And so this is what I did. I took everything apart, cleaned all the silicone off, used the shaft to align the oil pump housing. Right now I just checked to confirm that it did work, and the shaft actually turned instead of being bound up on the housing. And so essentially, this is what I did, was I left the oil pump housing bolts a little loose, enough that it still holds it in place, but it can slide around. And then I just put the main shaft in and put the housing on and bolted it down. And then I carefully lifted it up to remove it, so that nothing kind of got moved around. And then torqued down the oil pump housing. And right now I just confirmed that it is still aligned and it still works. Okay, so here's the main problem. So yeah, I got a bunch of oil or dirt and grime inside this oil pump, and the main shaft runs it. And so this housing right here, this surface runs basically on the surface of that, and this surface in here does too. So it went together okay, but when I bolted it down, everything locked up. So again, like I said, I ended up just using this as the template to line everything up. So if you just set it in here with the oil pump bolts loose, it should sit and fall right in. And the nice thing about it being aligned to the bearing is you don't need to worry about if this is leaning, because it's got a machined surface that it sits against. So as long as it's vertical and it's sitting, you can use that to align it, torque these down, and you're good to go. So now what I'm going to do is pull out one bolt at a time, add some blue Loctite, and torque them all down to, what did we do, like 25 foot-pounds? Something, I think 25 foot-pounds when we did this last.
I don't remember.
Well, I'll look it up. So that's the only reason that the pump isn't serviceable, is they don't want to be liable for you unaligning it and having the shaft wear into the housing, putting in aluminum particles inside an aluminum oil pump with a steel rotor. And so now I think I'm good to put everything back together, but since we're here and it's apart, I can show that the T-case works as I designed it to. Another thing, this is a little side note here. The center force flywheel, and I got a new clutch, and I noticed that it was worn to one side. So I got my dial indicator out and measured to a 10,000th of an inch. It's so to the back flange here, which I've confirmed is flat and smooth. Essentially, this surface wasn't parallel. We had a high spot here, low spot here, and the reason I'm pretty sure that is because the wear surface, which is asymmetric, has a low spot here, which is almost at the exact same surface height. I think it's 0.2, or it's 2/10,000ths off. It's low here, and it's low here, and it's high by 2/10 thou and 3/10 thou. So the wear surface essentially, made itself parallel to the crankshaft, which obviously left, no ridge here, but a pretty thick 2.5 thou gouge essentially. So I do need to get this surface now for sure. And what's really annoying is I did have to make this tool to install this bearing, because out of everything in this transfer case, everything is a slit fit except for that one bearing, which happens to be an interference fit. And I actually destroyed the original bearing. I don't know where it went, but I did destroy the original bearing throwing that guy in there. All right, so we've got our four-wheel drive selector. There we go. We'll make it a little easier. So if you don't have this gear attached, this is a little bit easier to do. Yep. We'll throw that in there. Otherwise, both of these have to go down parallel, so you kind of gotta lift the one up to get this one to go in. See, it's already kind of stuck. There we go. All right, we got letters or numbers up on both. Yeah. Otherwise, to get these in and out, you have to lift the whole thing up. And then this clip, it's going to go down on here. All right, so the shift selector is currently in four-wheel low or four-wheel high. If we go back to two-wheel drive, there we go. Okay, so this is two-wheel drive. This guy is down, which means that this, I don't know, I don't remember what they call it. I kept calling it a synchro because it's got synchronizing teeth, but it isn't a synchronizer. It is a shift collar, I think. So anyways, that's four-wheel or two-wheel drive high. And then that just moves this one up, which locks this shift collar. And now we are in four-wheel drive high. And then this next position pulls the, it doesn't like to turn if these shafts aren't perfectly lined up. There we go. So now this is dropped into a neutral position where the collar is no longer attached. I do believe these are still sync though. Yep. Oh, no, they're not. Okay, so this is free to spin from the shaft, obviously. And the high and low fork down there is also in a neutral position. And then, so the next position is the last OEM position, which is, oop. Normally you have a long lever, and I've got a short one and put my hand on here. There we go. Okay, and so this is the last OEM position, which is four-wheel drive low. So now the planetary on the inside is engaged. You can hear it spinning. And the one I added is 2-wheel drive low. And so all that does is it keeps the low fork where it currently is, and then it drops the 4-wheel drive fork, which should disengage it. Yep. And so now we still have the low range planetary engaged, but we are free to spin the 4-wheel drive. And so it should work with a stock shifter, although the positions might be a pain in the ass. I did try to line everything up so that when you hit, like, you can't just slide it into low. Like, I think the neutral bottoms out. But either way, I designed another shifter to have set detents for each one of these. Because the biggest complaint I saw from people who bought the Terraflex version for the regular off-road Rubicon version was that they had a hard time finding the position and keeping it where it needed to be. Which is understandable, because you're trying to get 5 positions out of what used to have 4 positions, and there's only 1 detent. When you go from 2 to 4, you hit, and then you pull over, come back 1 more into neutral, and then you push through neutral and come back over. So you can't make them line up, but I did test it with the stock shifter and cable, and you basically hit neutral before you hit the low planetary. So that will prevent you from grinding your planetary. You just might accidentally hit neutral instead of 4 high using a stock shifter. So, but these detents are pretty strong, so that's on its absolute lowest setting, which, well, it doesn't have a setting. It's just 1 thread holding it in. And so once this spring is fully tightened, these should be a lot harder to turn, but they will stay in gear. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's basically where I'm at with this. Putting this together, transmission's been done for a while. Need to get the flywheel surfaced, and it's good to go back together. The drive shaft's rebuilt, so I'm excited to get the Jeep running and drive it.
Get it out of the driveway.
Get it out of the driveway so we can get the other Jeep in the driveway. On that one. All right, thanks for watching. Is that like 10 minutes?
15.
Really?
Look at all that hair. My little
Are you still
Dutch
filming?
boy. Yeah.
I look homeless, don't I?
That little Dutch boy haircut. So cute.